Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we are undertaking a deep, systemic analysis into the architecture of an absolute beast of a framework, the United States Federal Administrative Lifecycle. We aren't just looking at a list of isolated rules today. We're going to decode the hidden mechanisms, the precise cause and effect relationships, and the unseen ties that track a person from their initial physical arrival all the way through to their lifelong financial obligations.
Now, you might be wondering, how deep does this tracking actually go? Well, let's start with a really wild scenario that perfectly illustrates the gap between physical reality and administrative reality. If you literally take a pair of scissors and physically destroy your permanent resident card, or even if you leave the country and just let it expire, do your tax obligations suddenly vanish? Spoiler alert, no way. The answer reveals the hidden mechanisms of the bureaucracy. The physical plastic in your hand is completely separate from the digital footprint you leave in government databases. The system's underlying logic operates on a far more profound level than simply possessing a piece of paper.
So, here is our map of the labyrinth. First, life and border security. Second, navigating USCIS and paperwork. Third, the immigration court system. Fourth, asylum and removal defenses. And finally, the complex tax labyrinth.
All right, Section 1, Life and Border Security.
At its core, this system ultimately processes human lives. Think about the documented experiences of foreign exchange students integrating into new American households. It's heartwarming, right? But here is the hidden mechanism. The administrative machine literally has to translate these nuanced, beautiful human interactions into rigid, trackable data points across international borders. The entire massive bureaucratic framework was fundamentally built to process, manage, and quantify these human variables into standardized classifications.
Let's look at the actual cause and effect of border security here. Border agencies must constantly balance two totally opposing forces: exhaustive security analysis and the absolute necessity for efficient travel. So how do they optimize this? They implemented specialized trusted traveler programs. By volunteering for intense background checks up front, individuals get categorized as low risk, which systematically expedites their physical processing at the border. Whether domestic or international, all of these specific programs are structurally valid for exactly 5 years. It's a calculated administrative risk assessment, trading initial data collection for long-term operational efficiency.
Moving on to Section 2, Navigating USCIS and Paperwork.
Okay, the critical dynamic to grasp here is the absolute lack of flexibility in processing. When submitting documentation to a centralized lockbox facility, the required steps are purely mechanical and entirely automated. An applicant must verify the exact fee, which routinely includes highly specific, non-negotiable additions like a $30 biometrics charge. And here is where it gets ruthless. If a credit card is used and that transaction is declined for literally any reason whatsoever, even just an automated fraud alert initiated by the applicant's own bank, the system's mechanism triggers an automatic, unforgiving rejection of the entire package. There is no manual review, there is no second attempt, the machine operates on a strict binary: perfect compliance or total rejection.
This perfectly exposes the segmented, disjointed nature of the bureaucracy. For basic administrative benefits, the system has modernized incredibly well. A user can log into a portal, update an address, and systematically apply that change across up to 25 pending cases in near real time. It's great. However, and this is a crucial exception, if that same individual is simultaneously in the judicial system, the court operates under an entirely separate, strict legal mandate. The individual must physically submit a distinct change of address form to the court within exactly 5 days of moving. The agency databases do not automatically synchronize in this regard, and implicitly assuming they do often leads to catastrophic legal consequences.
Which brings us to Section 3, the immigration court system. When an individual enters the judicial system, two fundamental mechanisms are immediately triggered. First,
the charging document is generated, explicitly laying out the statutory allegations. Second, the system assigns a unique 9-digit tracking number. Think of this identifier precisely as a primary key in a massive relational database. It permanently links an individual's physical identity to their ongoing legal and administrative footprint, synchronizing their records regardless of which specific federal agency they happen to be interacting with at any given moment. The severity of the cause and effect relationship in this judicial phase is absolute. If an individual fails to appear at a scheduled master calendar hearing, lacking a highly exceptional, strictly documented circumstance, like a severe medical emergency, the legal mechanism engages automatically. The presiding judge is legally obligated to issue an order of removal in absentia. That means you weren't there. Simultaneously, any pending administrative applications for relief are instantly deemed abandoned by the system, and a 10-year statutory ban is triggered, barring other forms of legal relief. The architecture simply relies on an uncompromising standard of compliance.
Next up, Section 4, Asylum and Removal Defenses.
I really want you to observe the mathematical burden of proof at play here because it's fascinating. The system offers two distinct legal protections with fundamentally different analytical thresholds. Asylum requires establishing a well-founded fear, which legal interpretations generally quantify as roughly a 10% probability of future persecution. However, even if you meet this specific threshold, the ultimate grant remains entirely discretionary. In stark contrast, withholding of removal demands a much steeper mathematical burden, a greater than 50% probability, or more likely than not. But if an individual successfully meets that higher threshold, the grant of protection becomes mathematically mandatory. The mechanism automatically removes the adjudicator's discretion entirely.
Now, to qualify for either of these specific protections, the persecution must be causally linked, what the legal framework terms a nexus, to one of 5 strictly defined statutory grounds. Protection cannot be granted based on generalized violence or macroeconomic hardship. The harm must be structurally rooted in race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. As analytical reports constantly emphasize, this final category is subjected to intense scrutiny. The group must be defined by an immutable, unchangeable characteristic and be distinctly socially recognizable within the specific country in question.
There is actually a third mechanism that exists, derived from international treaty obligations. Protection under the Convention Against Torture operates on a totally different analytical axis. It retains that greater than 50% probability standard, but uniquely, it does not require a nexus to those 5 protected statutory grounds. Instead, the analytical focus shifts entirely to the source of the harm. It must be inflicted by or with the willful blindness of a public official. If an administrative body or government knows about the harm and systematically takes no action to intervene, this strict legal threshold is successfully met.
And that leads us to our final section, the complex tax labyrinth.
Tax authorities maintain incredibly rigid algorithmic enforcement over benefit claims. When paid preparers file returns, they are subjected to intensive due diligence audits, where agents systematically review exactly 25 client files to identify any pattern of non-compliance. Consider the strict mathematical logic of the tiebreaker rule. If a grandparent and a parent reside in the exact same household and both attempt to claim the children for the Earned Income Tax Credit, the system dictates a strict numerical override. The non-parent can only successfully claim the credit if their adjusted gross income is mathematically higher than the parent's. The mechanism leaves zero room for familial preference.
The financial implications of successfully navigating this bureaucracy are massive and highly specific. For example, to put this into perspective, families finalizing the legal adoption of an eligible child in 2025 can utilize the tax system to claim up to an exact maximum of $17,280 in qualified tax credits or employer income exclusions. It's a perfect illustration of how the administrative code explicitly incentivizes and financially supports specific societal actions, strictly contingent on perfect adherence to filing requirements.
Here's where tax law and immigration law collide violently.
Consider an employee of a foreign government legally working in the U.S. Under normal circumstances, their income is insulated by tax-exempt immunities. However, if they acquire permanent residency, the administrative system forces a mutually exclusive choice. To legally maintain that new immigration status, the individual is required to execute a specific waiver, effectively and permanently forfeiting their diplomatic tax immunities. The architecture of the machine strictly prohibits holding both the benefits of permanent residency and the tax exemptions of a foreign diplomat simultaneously. It systematically forces the individual into a single administrative classification.
And this brings us back to our opening hook, revealing a profound insight regarding administrative abandonment. As experts note, your legal status is purely a database reality. Simply destroying your physical permanent resident card or letting it expire while living abroad does absolutely nothing to sever your legal and financial ties to the system. To the tax authorities, you remain a resident generating taxable worldwide income indefinitely. The system's mechanism literally requires a formal, executed paper trail termination, a specific administrative abandonment document to update the primary database. Without that explicit, bureaucratic filing, the financial obligations just continue to accrue endlessly in the background, totally blind to the physical location or actions of the individual.
So, let's synthesize this whole structural life cycle we've decoded today. From the physical border risk assessments to the automated and unforgiving payment lockboxes for status maintenance, straight into the high-stakes, mathematical burden of proof mechanics of the judicial courts, and finally settling into the permanent, database-driven financial tracking of the tax authorities. These are not isolated spheres, right? They are interconnected gears in a single, continuous administrative machine that perpetually tracks an individual's data points across a lifetime.
We've just decoded the hidden rules, the rigid cause and effect mechanisms, and the profound power that centralized database entries hold over physical reality. Every submitted form, every processed address change, and every executed waiver sends quantifiable ripples across this massive federal network. Knowing what you know now about how these unseen architectural ties bind your personal data to the administrative machine, are you fully aware of your own footprint? It's definitely a lot to think about. Thank you so much for exploring this system with me today. Keep asking questions, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.